The studio buzzes with anticipation, a low hum of excitement rippling through the audience. Stage lights cast a warm glow, reflecting off polished surfaces. The host, all charisma and practiced charm, steps to the center, his grin wide as he addresses the crowd. Ladies and gentlemen, tonight we have a true icon, a man who needs no introduction. Please welcome Keanu Reeves. The room erupts in applause, a few fans leaping to their feet, phones discreetly raised despite the no-recording signs. Keanu emerges from the wings, his steps slow, deliberate. He's dressed in a tailored black suit, no tie, his hair slightly longer, brushing his shoulders. His expression is polite but distant, like he's carrying something heavy. He shakes the host's hand, the gesture brief, and they settle into their chairs across a sleek glass table. On it, a glass of water, a stack of cue cards, and, curiously, a small golden rosary resting on a velvet cushion. The host leans forward, keeping the mood light. So, Keanu, the world's been through a lot lately, huh? Pope Francis passing, and here you are, still looking like you've cracked the code to immortality. What's the secret? Holy water? The audience laughs, a wave of chuckles filling the room. Keanu offers a faint smile, his eyes drifting to the rosary. He doesn't speak. The silence stretches, at first awkward, then heavy. The host shifts, his grin faltering. Everything okay? You're even more zen than usual tonight. Keanu takes a deep breath, his fingers brushing the rosary lightly. His gaze is unfocused, as if he's somewhere else. He told me something that night in Rome, he says, his voice low, almost to himself. Something no one's ever heard. The audience quiets, the air tightening. The host leans in, intrigued but cautious. Who's he? Keanu's eyes flick up, locking onto the host's. Pope Francis. The studio freezes. The host chuckles nervously, glancing at the crew off camera, but no one signals him. Maybe today, Keanu continues, I need to tell it. The words land like a stone in still water. The host tries to regain control. Tell what? Keanu looks through him, his voice steady but soft. What he entrusted to me. What he didn't want to die with him. The audience is silent, no coughs, no shifts. This isn't a promotional stunt, not a scripted bit. Keanu's face holds no trace of performance. Years ago, he begins, I got an invitation that didn't feel real. I was in Florence, filming something small, a European project. One night, a man knocked on my door at the hotel. No name, just an envelope with the Vatican seal. The host raises his eyebrows, caught off guard. What did it say? Keanu stares into the distance, as if reading it again. It said, I would like to walk with you in silence among the olive trees. No cameras, no press. Just that. The room is still, the tone almost sacred. And you went? The host asks, barely above a whisper. Keanu nods. Of course. I thought maybe he needed help, a donation, something institutional. But what I found was beyond that. He pauses, the silence thick. A car took me to a side entrance of the Vatican. It was cold, dark. A man, older, led me through corridors, a maze of stone. Then we stepped into a garden. Under an old tree, he was waiting. Keanu's voice softens. The Pope looked tired, thin, but his eyes, they were alive, burning. The host stays quiet, the audience entranced. He started talking right away, Keanu says. Said he'd seen footage of me visiting a children's hospital, anonymously. He said that silence spoke louder than any sermon. Then he confessed something. Keanu takes a breath. He said God had been silent with him for years. A collective chill runs through the room. The host's smile is gone. He spoke about the burden of Peter's chair. Keanu continues, the pain of representing something bigger than yourself, but feeling alone. He said he prayed, but the heavens felt mute. Keanu looks at the audience, urgency in his eyes. Faith survives silence, he told me, but I fear one day it may imitate it. The host, subdued, asks, what did you say? Nothing, Keanu replies. I listened. Then he pulled an envelope from his pocket, sealed with red wax. He said, if I don't see you again, this secret must live. The words echo, sharp and final. Did you open it? The host asks, tension rising. Keanu shakes his head. No, I kept it for years. But now, with him gone, I don't know if I can stay silent anymore. The studio is so quiet. Even the stage lights seem to hum softer. Keanu reaches into his jacket, slow, deliberate, and pulls out an envelope. yellowed with age, its crimson wax seal intact, stamped with the papal crest. The audience stirs, a subtle wave of gasps. "You're gonna open it now?" The host asks, voice tight. Keanu doesn't answer. He holds the envelope to the cameras, then breaks the seal, the soft crack louder than anything in the room. He unfolds the letter, hands steady, and reads. To the man of silence, who listens more than he speaks and sees more than he shows. The audience leans forward, drawn in. "This world doesn't need more saints in gold," Keanu reads. "It needs men who carry light through shadows cast by those meant to protect it." His voice trembles, not from fear but reverence. "I write this with a heart torn between duty and despair. For years, I fought behind marble walls, wearing the fisherman's crown in a sea of secrets. There are forces in this church I could never cleanse. They wear crosses but move like wolves. I tried to expose them. I failed." The host opens his mouth, then stops. Keanu continues. "If my voice is silenced, I entrust this truth to you outside the church. Not to destroy, but to protect." He pauses, then unfolds a second sheet, his voice dropping. "And there was something else. A prophecy." Murmurs ripple through the crowd. The host leans in. "The Pope wrote," Keanu says, taking a breath. "The one who will undo me shall not come from within. He will smile, dress as a friend, but carry the void." Gasps echo. The host blinks, stunned. "He believed," Keanu says slowly. "The collapse of faith wouldn't come from heresy, but from imitation. Someone who seems pure but brings nothingness." The silence is absolute. "I didn't understand then," Keanu adds, "but after that letter, everything changed." The host, shaken, asks, "What do you mean?" Keanu meets his gaze. "I started studying faith, power, silence. Quietly, alone. Then they started coming." "Who?" The host presses. Keanu looks into the camera. "Letters. Anonymous. Warning me to never reveal what I know." He holds the second sheet, its weight heavier than paper. "This part I've never read aloud. Not to anyone." The crew behind the cameras stands still, caught in the spell. He reads again. "The one who will undo me shall not come from within. He will smile, dress as a friend, but carry the void." A murmur moves through the studio like wind. Keanu folds the letter, placing it beside the rosary. He believed someone outside the church would rise, not as an enemy but a mirror, empty. They'd gain power through charm, imitating goodness, then hollow everything out. The host, uncomfortable, shifts. "He thought this was happening?" Keanu nods. He said, "The world's faith isn't crumbling from truth. It's starving from illusion." No one dares interrupt. He also said, Keanu continues, "The church's next step might not come from the church." The words hang, unsettling. "You mean someone else carries its mission?" The host asks. Keanu looks at the rosary. He believed faith must evolve, but he feared it'd be manipulated first. The audience is silent, gripped by shared gravity. The host tries to lighten the mood. "Big ideas, Keanu. Theology, prophecy. Maybe we take a breath?" "No," Keanu cuts in, voice firm. "This isn't a story. It's a warning. There's more." The host leans back, unsure. Keanu continues. "After the Vatican, I didn't tell anyone. But a year later, a letter came. No return address, no signature." He pulls a paper from a folder, aged but newer than the Pope's. He reads, "Do not open the envelope. There are forces watching." He was surrounded. "You are not. Stay in the shadows. Silence protects more than you imagine." The host's eyes widen. "That's threatening." Keanu nods. "It was the first. 6 more came over 4 years, different places, different handwriting, all warning me to stay quiet." "From inside the church?" The host asks. "At first, I thought so," Keanu says. "But then I saw patterns. Dead reformist priests, journalists vanishing while probing Vatican finances, notes in old Bibles, locked in archives." He pauses. "I found a phrase, repeated in Latin across documents." He looks at the camera. "S. Nomine." The words ripple through the audience, dangerous despite their mystery. "It means, without name," Keanu explains. "Not a group, a belief. A hidden network of those who don't trust the church but still believe in God." The host whispers, "And the Pope trusted them?" Keanu shakes his head. He feared them but knew they might be necessary. The church, as it was, might not survive what's coming. Silence falls. Then Keanu says, "That's when I realized he didn't choose me by chance." The host stares. What do you mean? Keanu's eyes darken. He saw something in me. Not until the dream. The host furrows his brow. The dream? Keanu nods, pulling a worn sheet from the folder. This came weeks before he died. A note, slipped under my hotel door. No cinder, just typewritten. He reads, he is surrounded. If you open the envelope, there'll be consequences. Silence protects more than you know. The audience stirs. The host, shaken, asks, did you try to find who sent them? Keanu nods. Investigators, contacts in Europe. Nothing. No prints, no footage. Whoever sent these, they knew what they were doing. He opens the folder, revealing clippings, notes, photos. I thought I was paranoid, seeing patterns. But then, he picks a photo of a smiling priest. Father Matteo led youth programs in Palermo. Spoke out on church corruption. Disappeared en route to Rome. He shows a headline. Journalist, found dead in the Tiber. She exposed Vatican real estate ties. Ruled suicide, but she'd just published an expose. The host, unsettled, says, Keanu, this is a lot. Keanu presses on. I found notes in old Bibles, not online, not cataloged. Handwritten, in Latin, symbols. He slides one across. A sketch of an eye, beneath it, S, nominee vivid. Without name lives. Over and over, buried in forgotten scriptures. The host doesn't touch his water. Keanu's voice lowers. The Pope didn't just see something in me. He saw someone like them. Someone who moves in silence, who the asceticism carries a spark of the divine. The host, cautious, asks why you. Keanu leans back. Because of what came after the dream. The night I opened the envelope, I had a dream. Or something more. He looks at the audience. I was in a massive, abandoned basilica. Dust everywhere. No prayers, just silence. A shiver passes through the room. At the altar, Keanu says, Pope Francis stood, waiting. He spoke. The host whispers, what did he say? Keanu closes his eyes, then opens them. You thought you were only an actor, he said. But I saw the man who carried silence with dignity. The audience gasps, not from fear but awe. I woke up shaking, sweating, Keanu says. I've never been the same. The host stares. Did he know he'd die? Keanu's voice softens. He wasn't afraid of death. He was afraid of dying for nothing. He pulls something from the folder. That's why, tonight, live, I'm showing you something never meant to be seen. The studio hushes. Keanu takes a breath. The dream felt delivered. I was in an enormous church, empty. Silence hummed in my chest. Dust drifted in the light. Every step echoed like thunder. It felt sacred, abandoned. He pauses. At the altar, he waited. Not sick, but calm, glowing. The host leans in. What did he say? Keanu addresses the audience. You thought you'd only play a man of conviction, but you were always more. You carry silence like a mantle, with dignity. He pauses. He said the church was drowning in its echo. God's voice, buried under centuries of noise. Only someone who values silence could hear it again. The host swallows. You believe it was him? I don't know, Keanu admits. But it changed me. I stopped working as much, started reading, scripture, theology, mysticism. I've been trying to understand. He pulls a worn notebook from his pocket. I write every night. Thoughts, symbols, questions. Sometimes it's not me writing. The host, shaken, asks, are you afraid? Keanu pauses. I was. But maybe fear was the first test. He touches the rosary. In the dream, he said, your silence will be a door. You decide if others walk through or if it stays locked. The host, overwhelmed, says, this isn't what I expected tonight. Keanu smiles, tired. Nor I, when I walked into the Vatican. Why now on live TV? The host asks. Keanu looks at the camera. Truth is quieter than lies. If I don't say this now, I might not get another chance. And there's something I need to show you. The host hesitates. Dangerous? Maybe, Keanu says. But what scares me more is what happens if I don't. He pulls a small photograph from the folder, fingers trembling with inevitability. The host leans in. What is it? Keanu holds it face down. A photograph from that night in the Vatican. Me, the Pope, in the garden. A private moment someone captured. The audience is still, but there's something else in it. The host's voice cracks. What? Keanu looks down. A figure, hooded, in the background, barely visible. He places the photo face up, angled from the cameras. This figure appears in 3 other images I've received. Always watching, always hidden. The host whispers, who is it? Keanu pauses. I don't know. But in the dream, the Pope said, you'll see the shadow before you see the light. He lays out the other photos, shielding them from the cameras. The Pope's last words to me were, you will see the shadow before you see the light. The host is silent. It's not a threat, Keanu adds. It's a warning. Something's coming, and it won't be the church that faces it. It'll be us. He stands, heading for the curtain. Faith isn't gone. It's waiting. And silence doesn't mean peace. Sometimes it's the start of war. At the curtain, he turns back. If you think this ends here, wait. Because what came after was worse.